flick, wasn't it? And the return. Actually, Bremer defended it well, but Torino have certainly seen the first few minutes out, but as expected, the away side on the front foot, just pressurising as high up the pitch as they can.
Pattern established, perhaps, in that respect. This is one of their last 14 games in competitions. That was against Juventus in the first leg of the Coppa Italia semi-final. Being on the top flight, winning the last 7 of them. Crunching into the challenge. Sanabria has it. As a result of that challenge, there is still an injury issue here.
Well, Muru is just stretched for that one. Barella thought he had it, but the momentum was certainly with the Torino defender.
Antonio Conte watching on from afar today. Yellow card accumulation, the reason for his suspension. He was already on a warning before the Atalanta game, where he was shown the yellow card for a heated discussion on the touchline with the referee. Not for the first time this season, of course, that he's sat in the stands, having previously served a 2-match ban. So Christian Stellini, his long-time assistant, directing matters from the touchline. An event in Torino victory towards the end of January, start of February, where Stellini was also in charge. Both of those were won by Inter. We have it here with Marcelo Brozovic. Skriniar, well advanced. Rather fortunately, perhaps back to Achraf Hakimi, and again Brozovic. With everybody back behind the ball. Now they'll look to try and spring the counter-attack. Daselli. Finding Simone Verdi. See what he was trying. Two could be into defence, who were back there in position quickly enough. Stefan de Vrij at the heart of it.
Yes, he saw it before anyone else, didn't he? He was there before Sanabria manages to get across, but that's what Torino have to do. Certainly defend in numbers, try and hit Inter on the counter-attack, but it is difficult. Inter, with Barella and Brozovic on the ball, really are controlling that midfield. Lazy, wasn't it, from Hakimi? Just a couple of instances. Hakimi is giving the ball away cheaply, but he is so important to Inter. Absolute flying machine down the right-hand side.
Such an impact, hasn't he? Since his signing. A couple of seasons on loan at Borussia Dortmund from Real Madrid, before a reported €40 million investment by Inter in the summer.
Yes, he set up a few, but also scored some important goals, 6 so far. So for a wing-back, that's impressive.
Players have been attracting attention from elsewhere. He's certainly been one of them. This is Barella, who dinks it in. Gagliardini. Is the club hopeful now that the financial situation has eased somewhat? The owners are still looking for investment, but potentially only now selling a minority share rather than a takeover that had been talked about. Uncertainty always leading to about who might move on the field. Full focus at the club is on this search for the Scudetto, certainly right now. So they hoisted in high again towards Roberto Gagliardini.
Gagliardini really is getting forward, isn't he, from that midfield area. When Brozovic and Barella are controlling things, then he is allowed to run forward.
Itzo, who was on the receiving end there, helped back to his feet by Gagliardini, starting for the 11th time in Serie A this season, the first since the end of January. Antonio Conte probably would have called upon Christian Eriksen in the absence of Vidal today, but he's only just returned to training. Inflammation in his knee has been the issue for Eriksen recently, which is why he's only lost the substitutes today, but he is now happy to stay at the club. There was talk he would be on his way. Transfer listed at one stage, but very much back part of things again now.
And playing well in that midfield three. Certainly had a tough start to his Inter career. Didn't seem to work at all, but certainly become a good quality player.
Could be called for later. Like, by the way, Ambrosio, who was actually named on the Inter bench, we're hearing is not actually figuring now in the matchday squad. Plenty of options in reserve. Who gets the block to the attempted cross from Lautaro Martinez.
At the moment, Torino just can't string enough passes together in that midfield area, can't retain the ball into just picking it up, so they need to be better, certainly when they do try and keep it.
Thrive from these sort of situations so far. Brozovic with the corner. Goals from corners this season for Inter, just one short of last season's total, but not quite able to capitalise this time. De Vrij with the header too high.
Still managed to get there first. It's a decent ball in from Brozovic, and up he climbs, and that's what I think this Inter side have that makes it very difficult to beat them. A bit of everything in that they can be good at set pieces, you know, attack the ball, have counter-attacking speed and pace, yet they can defend when they need to as well.
Obvious weaknesses there, and it is all about minimising mistakes from here, said Milan Skriniar. Making that victory on that Monday against Atalanta. He says this isn't the crazy Inter side of years gone by, this is Conte's Inter. It's all about getting the job done. They've done that better than anybody else since the turn of the year. And Dragora getting the decision here. Goal scorer actually against Crotone, his first for the club last week, after making that loan move from Juventus. On the ball here. Sanabria. Strengthen in the winter window. Hakimi's got room in which to work here though, on the charge for Inter, and it's Bremer that blocks the cross.
And there's the other problem that Torino have got. As soon as they do go forward and commit bodies forward, if they lose it anywhere in that midfield, they're up against it, because Inter just charge forward with great quality. Barella or Brozovic get it forward, and you've got Hakimi, Lukaku on the run. All of a sudden you're defending your own goal.
Corner kick to come as a result. Marcelo Brozovic stands over it for the Nerazzurri. Gets into the dangerous area, but it's by Torino. More height than there was distance on that. Inter forced back into their own half with Hakimi. The bet on the head-to-head with Torino recently, winning the club's last 3 meetings. September of 2008 for the last time that they won 4 in succession in this fixture. Bini. Too much of him was Ivan Perisic. Again in that wing-back role, returning from last season's treble-winning campaign on loan at Bayern. It did look as if a permanent deal was going to be done for the Croatian. It didn't materialise at the start of the season. Compatriot Brozovic in the midfield helping it on. Baselli. Through, it was a ball for Simone Verdi, couldn't quite trick his way through. Sanabria still snapping at the heels here of Brozovic. Threatening his home side of Lutz. The exchanges.
Good jinky run, wasn't it, from Simone there? He didn't quite get it under control at the last moment, but that's a positive for Torino.
Verdi has to start transferring what they've seen in training to a match day this season. Verdi certainly has all the attributes, all the talents. He's delivered just the one goal so far this campaign. Second season back at the club after being on loan last term from Napoli. It's a significant investment in the summer. A permanent one. Spaselli goes crossfield towards Vojvoda.
Well, Verdi's great form, of course, was at Bologna. He was superb for a few seasons there. Didn't really get the opportunities he would have liked at Napoli, but he's a quality player, isn't he?
Bologna persuaded Napoli to pay about 25 million euros for him. His 3 Serie A goals followed during his time. 20 minutes in, here come Inter again with Achraf Hakimi. Barella on the stretch to provide the cross. Supported by Pacelli. Bastoni assessing his options. Hakimi. Skriniar getting involved further forward. Again here gets it back from Lukaku. Then from Lautaro Martinez. Too much on it for Perisic.
A good idea, but when you have a side like Torino just packing the box and putting a lot of numbers to try and bypass them somehow, and Skriniar or Bastoni need to get forward and join in there. You know, Skriniar did it almost to good effect.
Big part of the game plan, isn't it? It's still being held. Reaching the midway point of the first half. Until then, Crotone came, and even at times during the Crotone game, there's been signs of improvement under Davide Nicola for Torino. Really hard to beat with those 4 straight draws before winning his 5th fixture in charge. Last week they had opportunities. It's only hitting the bar, which would have put them 2-1 in front. Saw an effort tipped onto the bar, which would have made it 3-3. Conceding a 4th goal right at the end after Rincon's sending off didn't necessarily tell the whole story, and they had a very interrupted preparation for that game. A little more like normality in terms of getting ready for this one. Pitch picking it up here for Inter. Bastoni. Straight out of play.
The idea was right, just trying to put it at the back stick to allow Lukaku to run onto it. Well overhit. So at the moment, Torino will be delighted to see out this first 20-odd minutes.
Been the first target you would have thought today for them. 2 up against Inter in November when they ended up empty-handed. Plenty of twists and turns still lay ahead, I'm sure.
Well, yes, and they know, of course, what happened in that first game. They conceded 4, so Torino have to turn around an issue that they've got. They concede the most of any side in the last 15 minutes, so they need to play the full 90 minutes. And it's never over until it's over.
Hakimi, promising position again for the visitors. Hakimi getting it back from Brozovic. Support from Barella. Bastoni, and again. Bastoni looking for Lukaku. Close.
Getting closer, wasn't it? And Bremer is fortunate for Torino because he was the wrong side of Lukaku. But again, it's a centre-half for Inter just skipping forward, finding space, and almost Bastoni found Lukaku.
Dangers all too evident for Davide Nicola's side. He's established a reputation for himself as something of an escapologist during his work at Genoa just last season, when of course he was still dismissed at the end of that campaign, replaced by Rolando Moran. previously with Crotone. It was a remarkable salvage job in the second half of the season. He did to keep them in the top flight at the time. I'm hoping for something similar. Their situation is certainly not quite as desperate just yet.
They have a couple of games in hand, however, I think they beat Cagliari, didn't they, 2 or 3 games ago away, and that was a huge result, 1-0. So that has certainly kept them well in touch, but got to start picking up points at home.
That was the game that preceded the coronavirus outbreak at the club, and the next 2 matches, of course, didn't go ahead, so any chance really to build momentum from that victory was lost. Rearranged game at home to Sassuolo will take place this coming Wednesday night. To focus on first before they get that far, though. Taro Martinez asking the questions here of the Granata defence. Outnumbered, but they'll be able to come away with it.
Well, they get the foul, don't they, in the end, but they just can't play themselves out, can they? There's no space. They're trying to look forward, and of course, all they see is white shirts in front of them. They take that extra touch, and that's when Inter just close them down.
Should point out at this juncture that that game away to Lazio has not been forfeited by the club. The sporting judge against awarding Lazio the 3-0 win. Of course, they turned up, and it wasn't officially abandoned until half-time. The precedent set in the Juve Napoli game earlier in the season because Torino had been unable to travel to the capital. The local health authority prevented that. So the game will now be replayed at a later date. Because the situation that they're in, it could become a crucial fixture. Everything ahead of him. Stoning for Lautaro. Showed a bit too much of it really to Lianco, who was able to shut the door and guard it out of play.
It was a good run to certainly get inside the box, but the heavy chest control allowed Lianco just to get his body in the way. Taro Martinez, haven't seen him on the ball as much. No real link-up play yet with Lukaku, but I've seen it so often this season. Does not mean it's not going to happen.
And up there with the very best strike partnerships in European football, aren't they, this season? Numbers that they've posted, the understanding that they've developed.
Yeah, it's been really impressive, hasn't it? 31 goals between them. And some going.
Brozovic for Lautaro. His goals were a double in the 3-0 victory at Milan last month. Did a good ground. It took Sanabria to win the free kick, take over the attack, and it's brought down by
Sabri now.
Their struggles this season, they've remained a goal threat. They've only failed to score XG in 5 games all season in Serie A. Scores in the bottom half of the table. They come up with here. Be left for Simone Verdi, and it's a free header off the post. Lukaku off the line, and it didn't quite fall at the feet of Lukic to turn it in. For all Inter's dominance today, for all their pressure and possession, the first big chance, the first close call comes at the other end.
Lianco, I think he has to score. How did he find so much space at the back post? Inter just went missing. You see initially the free kick that's won by Sanabria, and then when it does come in, Lianco is Bastoni's man, isn't he, who does fall down. He's got a free header inches away.
He's only ever scored once in his Serie A career. Playing at Bologna against Parma a couple of seasons back. Was the goal scorer in the cup this season in extra time against Lecce for Torino, but that was a big chance for the centre-back. Itzo and Bremer alongside him have contributed goals this season from that position. Lianco hasn't. The ability. Now at the other end, it's Muru with the foul, and it's Inter with a free kick.
Well, Lukaku certainly won that one with clever piece of play, just trying to knock it in between the two defenders, but down he goes. Here again, he's so close as well, heads it down, does everything right, but just couldn't fit it inside that near post.
Agonising for Bianco, you wouldn't expect they'll get too many chances like that today. Is that going to be so costly? Angel almost immediately is now up the other end again. Brozovic and Hakimi sizing up this free kick. Will be left for Marcelo Brozovic. There's the questions with the quality of the delivery. Lautaro Martinez. His foot was a little high. Not quite able to make anything of it in the end.
I was thinking exactly the same thing than Drago with the challenge around the head. Lautaro Martinez, got to be careful inside the box.
It was a risky one. Half an hour in, there's still nothing between these two. I do wonder if he will be left reflecting on that Bianco chance at the end of the afternoon. Serves as a reminder to Inter, they're not having it all their own way. Bastoni. Lautaro Martinez has come a bit deeper this time, unable to keep hold of it. This is Verdi. Muru, known for the season from Sampdoria. Baselli. Sanabria. Confidence perhaps in the Granada camp. Baselli working it wider this time. Vojvoda. Was always the favourite to get to that one first, but kept in play by Sasa Lukic. Bianco, it's a better spell of possession for Torino as well, this.
It is, but they're going backwards at the moment. At least they are keeping it and committing the bodies forward, but they certainly are growing into this game.
One win in the last 10 games in all competitions was that victory at Cagliari in the middle of February. That's here with the Serbian Sasa Lukic. Men in the middle. Outnumbered, but it still came through towards Sanabria, who couldn't quite control it. Now Verdi again. He's looking in the mood at the moment, trying to catch out Handanovic, who was having none of it.
Well, Handanovic has been in superb form, so shots need to be a bit better than that. Although it was sneaking into that near post, but the Inter-keeper gathered comfortably. Number
505 of his Serie A career for the Slovenian, the Inter-skipper. It's already as impressive as at any stage of his illustrious career in this league. Helped out this season by the performances of those in front of him. Baselli, this is Sanabria. Dispossessed. Barella has covered good ground. Lautaro arriving in the middle. Look at the touch. Just diverted away from danger.
Referee's given a free kick against Lautaro Martinez. Izzo has made plenty of that, but it's an excellent run, isn't it, from Barella, who just chips it up to the back post. Just a little touch touch on the defender. I think there's nothing doing there, but Torino get it going their way.
The frustration for Lautaro. So certainly needed to get the touch. The bonus for him was that he got the free kick that followed as well. Regular recently at the heart of that defence. It's his 12th start in the last 13 in Serie A for the centre-back. Consistency has been an issue in terms of selection. Toro. Here's Skriniar. Toro. Gagliardini. Ivan Perisic. To Gagliardini, now Brozovic. Barella. All sorts of options here for Inter. Hakimi, a bit of a hit and hope. It wasn't really struck with conviction, though.
Found himself in a really good area, didn't he, of the pitch? Got it out of his foot as well, out of his feet, sorry. But the shot wasn't good.
Trying to go through the gears a little bit here, at the intensity of their attacks, perhaps. Perisic again. Gagliardini. There's Brozovic. Lukaku. Lautaro Martinez. Bremer's challenge was an important one. Let's go behind for the corner kick, though.
Well, Bremer a couple of times now has got in there very quickly. Lukaku just trying to link up with his strike partner, but it was seen by the Brazilian centre-half.
Corner already for Inter. Didn't beat the first man, who was Lukic. Ranks still back there. Deal with the follow-up as well. Suffer for that in the circumstances. Be happy enough thus far. Nicola knowing just how finely balanced it remains, and the extent of this team's task that remains today. Ever beaten Inter once before in his lengthy Serie A coaching career, Davide Nicola. Through thanks to the fry. Renata. Bastoni. Close to a contract extension with the club in Lautaro Martinez. In that situation, to keep this squad together. It's Barella, so a key part of the midfield in his second season. The leader at Torino now claims he was caught there. He stayed down as Torino come away with it. Verdi needed to be better. Now is Nicola Barella back on his feet to the relief of Stellini. Just the one league game all season with Barella.
Selly, wasn't it? Just with foot possibly on Barella, but Barella certainly has been instrumental in this Inter midfield. Will be for Italy as well.
Some caps already to add to those shortly. Mancini. Is it so? The Italian press are reporting could be offered an improved deal to try and ward off interest maybe from overseas in Barella. Antonio Conte saying the strength of the squad this season is in those that haven't played regularly, that provide the depth in reserve. Good experience in that respect on the subs bench today. Here's Gagliardini. Case in point, perhaps, summoned into the midfield when required today. is forward here. To get his shot away, but it was defied with the block.
Well, it's not all plain sailing, is it, for Inter? They are having to be on their guard. There's no doubt the pattern is set, that they'll have plenty of possession of the ball, but Torino at set pieces, we already seen they can be a danger every now and then on the counter-attack, so Inter have to be careful.
Nicola said before the game, Torino would have to prepare to pose problems for Inter, regardless of the status of their visitors at the summit of the standings, and they've certainly done that. As we approach the final 5 of the first half. Barella. Skriniar. There's Lukaku. Barella again. Should be Sirigu's ball on the stretch, and the goalkeeper able to hold it pretty comfortably.
Well, if Inter keep trying to cross from outside the box like that, Torino will be delighted. Need to try and get in behind, get the defenders turning.
Really extended Salvatore Sirigu as yet. Somewhat of a surprise at this stage. It's not just Handanovic that provides plenty of Serie A experience in goal today. Sirigu at the other end made appearance number 200 of his career in this league against Crotone just last weekend. Barella taking the ball from Hakimi. Sirigu claiming it had gone out of play, certainly has now. Expected to be busier, I'm sure, by this point.
He hasn't had too many saves to make. Yes, he has been involved in the play behind a solid back 5, but I think the numbers for Torino certainly worked well. They've defended well. This wouldn't be good. Baselli, captain today, is down.
Just back, of course, from a long-term injury issue. Making his first start of the Serie A season today after followed that cruciate ligament injury. Back in February of last year. Given the history, there's always going to be concern. Different type of issue by the looks of this. For the former Atalanta man. Turned 29 just a couple of days ago. His career really frustrated and stalled recently by that injury. It's a little more promising now. Waiting for word, and probably wait until half-time to assess it further. Barella, seeing plenty of it for Inter. Skriniar. To Bastogne, the back 3 all take a touch. All well advanced in Torino territory. Barella taking the ball from Hakimi, finding Skriniar instead forward. Centre-backs at times almost operating as wingers.
And they have to as well, because Torino are playing deep. They're getting 5 bodies across the back there, and then 4 or 5 across midfield as well, so not much space has to be made by the wing-backs. And of course Skriniar and Bastogne very comfortable on the ball. Letting out, just looking, will he have to come on for Baselli? That would be a blow.
To continue, but certainly not entirely happy, Baselli.
And how often does it happen as well, of course, when you are out with one particular injury, then something else comes along pretty quickly as well. I just hope that's not the case, because Baselli, a fit Baselli, is really going to be important for the rest of the season for Torino.
Capped a couple of times by Italy. They're certainly hoping to be able to count on for the conclusion of the campaign, with so much still at stake for the side. We shall see. It's Inter launch it long here. Itzo underneath it. Taro will settle for the throw. She takes very quickly to the path of Perisic looking for Lukaku. Decision goes against him. With Barella waiting just beyond him, hoping for the chance to profit there. Didn't come because of the referee's whistle.
Handball. Good cross in, and then thigh to arm. Fortunately for Lukaku, but just bright play, wasn't it, from the throw-in. Perisic continued his run, but you can just see the left arm of Lukaku getting in the way.
Have too many complaints over that one, Romelu Lukaku. A couple of goals behind Cristiano Ronaldo in the top scorers standings this season. He's contributed to more goals when you factor in his assists as well than any other striker in Serie A. At the top of his game, the current campaign. For Barella. Had to take it quickly. Won't necessarily want to see that one again.
Well, it was worth a go because it sat up quite nicely, but didn't quite find the technique to get it on target. He no doubt is frustrated up there. We normally see him pacing, don't we, in the technical area.
Get used to it a little bit this season, but it must be so difficult for Antonio Conte to launch from there. Way through the one added minute at the end of the half. Time perhaps for one more inter-attack here before the break after the foul on Lautaro Martinez.
Mondragora just getting too tight, but Martinez trying to come into that midfield area just to get on the ball because there's precious little space further up the pitch.
Skriniar, back to Barella, back to Milan Skriniar again. Against Atalanta, his winner on Monday, his third of the season. Worth 5 points into this season, but they haven't been able to fashion a way through in the first half against Torino. Team in the bottom three are holding the leaders at half-time in Turin here and have actually come closest to opening the scoring with Lianco's effort off the frame of the goal despite all the pressure and all the possession at the other end. But on the score sheet at the Olimpico Grande Torino at half-time here, there is nothing in it. It's Torino 0, Inter 0.